Alright, this is Andrew with Go to Home Inspections. We are doing a sewer scope today here in American Fork. Today is May 23rd, 2024. We're at 267 Orchard Ave. We have the camera pushed out 104 feet to the city connection. And now we're going to record it and pull it back and see what we find. So that's the city line that you're seeing on the screen. Looks like there's an offset right before your lateral line goes into the main city line. So you can see that lip there. I had to kind of push my camera over and over to get it to pop over that lip. Waste can potentially get stuck on that offset, and that could create a blockage which could lead to an offset, or a backup rather. The only way to fix an offset like that would be to dig it up and do a spot repair. I'm on the roof looking out at the road, and it looks like the sewer manhole is closer to the neighbor's side. And so if you had to dig it up, you're digging up the asphalt, which can be expensive. Looks like this is transite, which is a cement asbestos pipe from what I can tell so far. I'd recommend the insurance on this pipe. That would help offset the cost if and when you have a bigger issue. It looks like transite. Fair amount of buildup through here. Enough that I would recommend having it cleaned out, especially with the house sitting vacant. If that hardens, sometimes that'll move around when you start using it again and can create a blockage. You'll notice it's kind of starting to cover my camera head a little bit. I'm going to go flush the toilet to try to clear that off. We'll give that a minute. There it is. Alright, I think that helped quite a bit. So a little running water is fine. That's from the toilet. What we don't want to see is standing water or standing waste like we were. Sometimes you'll have waste build up because you have a flat spot or a belly. And so I would recommend having it cleaned. That way it prevents a future backup, but also it helps give you a better idea of how good the grade is through that area. Sometimes we'll have a subtle belly where it holds a little bit of water, and then all the oil and soap scum and waste can get stuck in that area. Left side of the pipe there, right side as well. Just making sure that's not a crack in the line. That looks like a sewer access point, and so somewhere outside you have a clean out. A lot of times they're buried. if you notice all that buildup, all that debris that you're seeing, those are all pieces of the cast iron. And so I think we're going to eventually transition to cast iron under the house. And what happens with cast is that it gets very rough and rusty, and it starts to flake. There we go, we're transitioning to cast iron now. Eventually cast iron will need to be replaced. This looks pretty rough. I would recommend having this coated, where they clean it with a chain cutter and then having it reevaluated. You can already see there's waste stuck in it. That looks like a wet wipe. You want to avoid putting wet wipes down the line, especially when you have cast iron. It's never a good idea, but especially when you have cast. Now we're coming back up the roof stack. The clean out on this house, or the roof stack rather, is on the front of the house, and so we're not seeing everything under the basement slab. I would imagine it looks very similar to what those last few feet looked like. You know, all that cast iron was put in at the same time, and so I wouldn't expect it to look much better than this. And that's tough, because when it is time to replace that, you're oftentimes breaking up the basement slab to be able to get to it. And this cast did look pretty rough. Cleaning it would help, but it also thins it out. You can only coat it so many times before it gets too thin and starts to collapse. So I definitely recommend having it cleaned and then evaluated further. You could also have the offsets located and get a price to have those repaired, but in either case I would definitely recommend the insurance. Last thing I'll add, not all insurance companies will cover what's under the basement slab, and so I would make sure that they cover that, and you might try to get one with a bigger policy, because a lot of them only cover up to $10,000, which wouldn't go very far if you have to open up the basement slab. I'm going to end this recording now.